Welcome back to Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, Anime Review, episode number 44. We're here reviewing the penultimate episode of Mushoku Tensei Season 2, known as Let's Go Home. This episode adapts from the rest of Chapter 10, goes to the entirety of 11, 12, and goes through, I'd say, about halfway through Chapter 13. Yes, I'd say for 13, I'd say most of the chapter, except for I'd say probably the last 10 pages. Okay, so there's some, one thing I should point out though, there's a lot of geese in the stuff that was covered here, that they skip over a lot of stuff featuring him, and I do mean a lot. Almost like he's almost virtually not in this episode. He does appear and has a few lines, but everything involving him was cut from the episode due to time. So the chapter opens up basically a little different from last where the book lives up. Basically, it focuses on Eloise and Geese. In the anime, here's where it starts up. Rudius is sad the fact his father has passed away. He wakes up. He looks at his stumped hand, which got cut off just the previous episode by the monster. And then Roxy comes into his room wearing this, slightly, I would say, a little different nightie than she wears in the actual book. In the book, there's no sleeves on the top. There's just the straps. They have a little bit of sleeves. It's a minor change. And she comforts Rudy and then proceeds to sleep with him. Yep. And she does in the book too. So, yeah, they sleep together, and he wakes the next morning, and Roxy's obviously naked because they had sex. So then Rudy politely escorts her to the door, and then Eloise is there, and then Roxy and Eloise basically have a conversation, presumably off screen. What was the conversation? Talk about Rudy's family. The fact that this is, I think, when she found that Rudy is married, and the fact he has a child, because next thing Rudy is doing is he goes sees his mom with Leela, his stepmom, where, by the way, the whole thing with, I think it was Eloise later on the episode, I'll get the whole thing with Eloise, so, talks to her, and of course they proceed to go home, and here's exactly what happens next. They walk for a while. A little bit of montage. They kill some monsters. Go up a cliffside. As Rudy reveals to her about his family situation, and she reveals she loves him, but this is before he tells her the fact he's married and has a child. Then of course kill more monsters, and then they go through a teleportation circle, a different location. Now of course tells the group, please keep this location a secret, because the whole thing with teleportation circles is taboo. That's the reason why they don't explain the anime, but in the episode, but it's been established prior to these few episodes that it's been taboo to basically. I mean, knowing about teleportation circles is fine. It's okay. I think it's most like location basically that it's taboo. And they're having the share let's get the ramp hand in less than a month. So then proceed to go camping, and then of course everybody's asleep. Roxy is basically not doing too well because she told Rudy she loves him. Now in the book, there's a mention that she may of course Rudy suspect maybe she had a thing for his father. Nope, it was him. In the anime, they cut the line out, probably to avoid confusion over this. And I should also point out though, Roxy is about 30, 40 years older than Rudy is. I think she's supposed to be about in her mid-40s at this point, even though she doesn't look it per se, but she is in her mid-40s. Rudy is about 16, 17-ish, despite the fact he's also happily married and has a child on the way. Also, it seems like the anime, it makes it a bit shorter than he's presented in the light novel. That's all anyways. So then Eloise talks to him. There's a big cutout here, but the meat of the conversation is kept in here, where she asks Rudius, "Are you following Millis?" He's like, "No." And neither is Selphie. She mentions that the followers can only take one wife. It's an old-fashioned thing. But since you're not a follower, you actually can take more than one wife. The way it's applied both in the light novel and in the anime, that basically Eloise is giving her blessing to ask, and she also, this is a bit an original line here, where she asked Rudius to marry Roxy. Excuse me. And then she goes to get Roxy. And then, of course, there's a bit basically early on in the conversation they cut out here early on about where Rudius is like, where she tells Rudius don't bother her. And here, it's like he tells her that about his wife. Like, a good chunk of this conversation is kept from the action book itself, where mentioned his wife actually have a surname. And he asks her to basically change the name to Roxy Garrett. Now, in the book, basically, he says that after he asks to propose to her, and she agrees to it in exchange for having his wife's permission. And she tells him, get his wife's permission, and they'll talk again about it. But at least she knows that Rudius loves her. There's a bit cut out here that he also respects her too. I'm not sure why they cut that out for, but I thought that way it would be good kept in, but who knows. But that's how kind of the episode ends right there with that particular scene. And that's only like on the 10th to last page of chapter 13. And the next episode is the finale for the season. I am really hoping. Now, if you're curious, how much does it be adapted from the action book itself? If you're really curious, like, it is that much right there. It's at the page 293, and the amount of pages in the book is 366. So basically, there's about 73 pages left. Yeah, 73. So I would not be now. If in case you're curious, how many pages they got for this every episode? They adapted. I thought it was a bit less. My mistake in that part. They adapted for this episode about 70 pages. Next episode, they'll probably adapt the rest, but I get the reason why the geese stuff was cut of the episode, because I guess the studio must realize, oh crap, we're getting close to the finale here, so let's just call the geese stuff out. Maybe, I'm really hoping that geese stuff might make a good side OVA, because there was a lot of material there. Like, good chunk of chapters, you could dedicate to that. And there's nothing wrong with producing an OVA set during this time period. I would suggest doing that and just release it like that, but I'm not the studio. But next episode is the end of season 2. Officially. Not the core, well, not just the core, but the season itself. And it's called Succession. And my guess is it'll finish after chapter 13 and probably go straight to chapter 16. I do not think they're going to adapt book 13 this season. I really hope that next week we get word of a possible season 3. Okay? So yes, that's particularly a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and do not hit the dislike button. Next up is Demon Slayer. Now, you're probably thinking, why did this first over One Piece? Put an ultimate episode season, because wrap up next week, so I figured, get the two close to wrap up, and then work with the other stuff next. And after I do Demon Slayer, the next thing I cover is going to be Black Butler. And that's the third to last episode this season, and that season. It'll be case closed, and then I'll do One Piece and My Hero. Okay? That's kind of how the order is going to be today. I have 5 more to go. I'm probably get done about 2 more. How about a few more before I go? I'm going to go out and eat for dinner again. 3 days in a row. So, I'll see you all in a bit for my next video. Bye.